All right, so Uber just dropped a monster quarter that crushed expectations pretty much everywhere you look. But for any serious investor, the headline beat isn't the real story. The question is, what do these numbers actually mean for the long-term investment case? Are we seeing a temporary sugar rush, or has Uber's growth engine truly shifted into a higher gear? Well, you don't have to guess what management thinks. CEO Dara Khosrowshahi came right out and said it. Growth kicked into high gear. You know, when a CEO uses language like one of the largest in history, Wall Street definitely sits up and pays attention. So in this analysis, we're going to cut through the noise and focus on the three things that really matter. First, that massive top-line beat and the acceleration driving it. Second, we're going to pop the hood on their record-setting profitability. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we'll walk through management's new 6-part plan for the future. Let's get right into it. Okay, first up, let's just break down the headline numbers. This is where you really start to see the story of that powerful momentum taking shape. Here's the first key metric, trip growth. This is the pulse of the platform. It accelerated to 22% year over year. We're talking 3.5 billion trips in one quarter. And get this, that's the fastest pace of growth they've posted since 2023. This isn't just growth, it's re-accelerating growth. All those trips translated directly into gross bookings, which is basically all the money flowing through the platform. It hit nearly $50 billion. Let that sink in. $50 billion. That's up 21%, and it just blew past what analysts were expecting. The scale here is just staggering. And here is the number that really matters for the investment thesis. This isn't just empty calorie growth. It is incredibly profitable. Adjusted EBITDA, which is the metric Wall Street uses to track core profitability, it surged 33% to a record $2.3 billion. That's huge. Now, this slide is super important because it shows why you always have to look past the big, flashy GAAP number. Yeah, $6.6 billion in net income looks amazing, but almost $5 billion of that was a one-time non-cash tax item. It's the underlying operational profit we just looked at that tells the real story of the business's health. So the question is, where is all this operational strength coming from? The beautiful thing about this quarter is that it's not just one segment doing all the heavy lifting. As you're about to see, both of Uber's core engines are absolutely firing right now. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Look at this. Mobility, the rides business, put up a super strong 20% growth. But check out delivery. It's growing even faster, at a blistering 25% pace year over year. This dual engine power is exactly what investors want to see. It provides balance and multiple avenues for growth. And digging into mobility, the CFO dropped a really critical piece of information on the earnings call. The growth isn't just coming from the big cities anymore. Their push into suburban areas is paying off in a huge way. These sparse geographies are actually their fastest growing markets, which means there's a whole new runway for expansion ahead. Over on the delivery side, the story has gotten so much bigger than just restaurant food. Their move into grocery and retail has absolutely exploded. It's now a $12 billion a year business on its own, and it's growing way faster than the core restaurant segment. This is huge for expanding their market and bringing totally new customers into the Uber ecosystem. Okay, growth is great, but as every investor knows, profitable growth is what really counts. So now let's take a look at how Uber is actually converting all that top-line momentum into real hard cash flow for the bottom line. This chart right here really visualizes that powerful operating leverage we talk about. The jump from about $1.7 billion to nearly $2.3 billion in just 1 year shows how the business model scales. As bookings grow, their costs don't grow nearly as fast, so a bigger and bigger piece of every dollar drops straight to profit. And the CFO spelled out their playbook for what to do with all that cash. It's a two-pronged approach. One, plow it back into those high-growth areas we just talked about, like grocery and new geographies. And two, keep up their commitment to returning capital directly to shareholders. It's a strategy of growth and return. So, where exactly are those investments going? This is where we pivot from the quarter's results to the long-term vision. And on the call, the CEO laid out a very clear 6-pillar roadmap for where they're headed. Now, these aren't just buzzwords. They represent a fundamental strategic shift. What you're seeing here is Uber's plan to move from being a simple transaction company, book a ride, order food, to becoming a deeply integrated platform for daily life and local commerce. And out of all of those bets, The one that has the potential to be the most transformative is the push into autonomy. But here's the key. They're not trying to do it alone. The foundation of this whole strategy is a deep partnership with the undisputed heavyweight champion of AI, Nvidia. I mean, you can just feel the conviction in the CEO's voice here. This isn't some minor supplier deal. This is a strategic alliance. By tying their wagon to Nvidia, Uber is trying to position itself right at the center of the future of mobility, which could be a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Okay, let's wrap this all up. Let's synthesize everything we've seen into a final takeaway for investors, starting with what the company itself is telling us to expect next. And the official guidance says it all. They expect this momentum to keep rolling. They're forecasting another quarter of high teens growth in bookings, and get this, another 30+% jump in profits. This makes it clear. Management does not see this as a one-quarter fluke. They see it as a new baseline. Which leaves us with this final crucial question for anyone analyzing the company. We've seen accelerating growth, we've seen record profitability that scales, and we've seen a clear, ambitious vision for the future built on AI and autonomy. The question for investors is no longer if Uber can be profitable. The real question is now, is the powerful flywheel they have built finally unstoppable?